All right, hello and welcome to the very first episode of the. Wait, what? What are we calling this again?
To get harder.
No, no. We've gone over this so many times. I can't believe you're still on that. Like, why are we doing this? Why?
The hardest podcast.
Oh my gosh. We're off to a great start. Welcome to the Too Hard to Pass podcast. It is the HardPass after show. I am your host, Jacques Slade.
Wow.
No,
okay, I guess that makes me.
You know what it is? Like, I just remembered it from the script. Like, you know how I went when we helped write the script. I put like, I'm your host, Jacques Slade. So I'm like, I'm actually your host, Juan Martinez, and to the side of me, left, right. I don't know how it's gonna actually look.
How it's gonna show up for you guys? Yeah.
Yeah. Jacques Slade.
I am Jacques Slade. I am the host of the podcast of the HardPass podcast. I can't talk today.
Too hard to pass. Yeah, see, it's not just me. It's not just me. It's not just me.
We're here today, people. Thanks for joining us.
So what this show is basically like the after show for HardPass, the weekly show that we do on the YouTubes. And, you know, there's a lot of things that we cover on the show, but there's also a lot of stuff that we don't cover on the show. So we figured, hey, let's do a podcast where we talk about that stuff and also kind of maybe explore more deeper, go more in depth with some of the topics that we end up talking about on the show as well. So, and also just a place for us to ramble.
Yeah.
Might as well make that as content because we ramble all the time anyway. We're on the phone or we're texting each other. We're like, Jacques, blah, 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 blah. So we might as well put it to content because that's how the world works now. Is like we have to have content all the time.
You got to have content all the time. And this is where all the content come together. This is how my brain works and Juan's brain works and how it all kind of comes together.
Chuck, I feel like this is a weird time for me because like this is the first time I'm on camera for like years. Because
don't worry about it.
I think people know that like I'm co-writer. Like the people who know.
The people who know that you're co-writer. Yeah.
Yes, but like I don't think a lot of people know who co-writer is. So I'm like, first of all. I'm not the person with the blonde wig. I don't know who that was. That was just some rando who just started showing up on the videos. Jacques, do you know who that is?
Are you sure you're not the guy with the blonde wig?
Yeah, with the jerseys all the time. No, that was not me. So I would like to put that rumor to rest.
Rumor?
I am not.
I don't know if it's rumor.
I never had long blonde hair. That was not a phase. That was not. I never went through that kind of phase.
We can't confirm that.
So I am just going to go on the record and say I was not that co-writer, but I am the co-writer. So
I'm not going to confirm that.
So you're just going to keep that going, huh?
I mean, I get the truth is the truth. Truth is the truth. Like they saw,
man,
they saw who it was. It's
obvious. They saw who it was.
It's obvious.
It was clearly me. It was obviously me.
I'm just saying.
So, anyways, how was the show, Jacques? Like, what did you think about the show that we just recorded?
We had a good show today.
Yeah,
lots of good topics that we covered. A couple things that I definitely want to get into here on the show that I think that I think will spark a conversation in the comments and get people listening to the show a little more and wanting to hear more in depth about what we wanted to say. There's stuff about Jalen. There's stuff about Kobe, there's stuff about Nintendo, there's stuff about LeBron and Steph and Book and I think there's a lot of good stuff that happened on the show, and this will be our chance to really dig in and talk more about it, like outside of the jokes and all of those things.
Totally. So let's start with that. Let's start with LeBron, Steph, and KD. I mean, you know, the Olympics were a couple of weeks ago, but I figured this would be our chance to kind of talk about it a little bit. And did you watch the final game live, Jacques? The gold medal game?
I did.
Yeah,
it was stressful.
It was very stressful, wasn't it? Like that in the Serbia game. And I was like, man, why am I stressing in the middle of the day, like at noon, while I'm eating lunch and I'm watching this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. I get to watch basketball, like intense basketball in the middle of the day, not like at nighttime or anything like that. Yep. But also at the same time, I'm like, oh man, can they pull this off?
Like I turned off the Serbia game. It was too stressful. I turned it off. I was like, this is just too stressful for me.
I'm not that type of fan, but I just want to see it through. I definitely want to see it through. But like, Man, I was witnessing some greatness with that one. Like Steph, woo! Like he was just
Steph
like,
turned it on. Steph showed up. Both of those games, Steph showed up and really brought amazing. The team what we needed.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that was the thing that I was wondering too. It was like, this is great. This is amazing. They won the gold and all that stuff. But at the same time, I was like, is this the end? Like, are we witnessing like basically the last hurrah of this? I guess they want to call it a big three, right? Like some people are calling us the most talented big three that the Team USA has ever had. Which, I would have some issue with because, we did have MJ, Magic, and Bird on the same team.
Right.
But also, I mean, to be fair, Bird was kind of like on his last legs at that time. Magic obviously was going through his HIV at the time.
Yeah.
And, but, with LeBron, Steph, and KD, it was like, man, is this it? Like, I mean, KD is on the Suns. It's not doing particularly well. Steph is kind of like Clay left and LeBron's LeBron on the Lakers. He's going to do well, but I don't know about like the Lakers' chances this coming season. So I'm like, Are we like, should we just enjoy this and appreciate this and be like, hey, let's just like take this in and really like appreciate the moment for what it is? Because it's like, man, I don't know if we're ever going to get to see these guys like at the ties level. Like, no offense to like a NBA in-season tournament or like an all-star game or whatever, but this is probably like the last major championship that any of these three are gonna, hoist up. Unless like, LeBron goes to like the Suns or the Warriors, but
Well, I think Book and KD would take issue with you saying that they don't have a chance. Just gonna put that out there.
Wow. We're off to a great start with this show. I'm already getting called.
Yeah, I'm just saying Book and KD are gonna have a problem with that. KD might subtweet you or just tweet you. He doesn't even subtweet anymore. He just.
I mean, KD, as somebody who's interviewed KD in the past, he is not shy about like his real feelings on a lot of things.
Yep. But I do think this is probably the last time. I don't think all four of them will be around for the next Olympics. All three of them will be around for the next Olympics. Yeah. So we won't see them, and I think this is going to be the transition. This was like the transition year where in the next 4 years we'll see guys like Anthony Edwards and Halliburton and all of those guys. Anthony Davis, I think, will still be there. We'll be able to get their shine. But as far as LeBron, KD, and Steph goes together on that sort of stage, I think this is the last time. Maybe an All-Star game since they're all in the West, so maybe there's some kind of All-Star situation that happens if they change up how they do the teams or whatever they do.
Right.
How they try to play with that to keep people interested. If that happens this year, I mean, in the next couple of years, maybe we'll see it. But I think the biggest issue of them all is not necessarily KD and Steph. It's LeBron. If LeBron's going to finally be done. That is going to be, I think, he's the linchpin, I think.
Mm-hmm. And he showed that he was still like one of the best, if not the best player on the court, Like he was definitely like leading them and like, taking charges and all that stuff. And I thought it was like, man, like to be at that age and to still play at that very high level, it was just amazing to watch. And I want to give credit. I forget who said it, but I think it'd be pretty cool if, like, who knows if LeBron stays for another, 2 or 3 more seasons. But say he does retire, like before the next Olympics. But what if he comes back, but he comes back to the Olympics for the 3x3? Like how wild would that be? Like, hey, maybe LeBron, Steph, and KD don't play on the 5-on-5. But what if they're like the 3-on-3? What if they're like the 3 that we sent to the Olympics for the 3-on-3? Because we didn't do well in the 3-on-3. Shout out to Jimmer Fredette. He tried, but
I think that'd be pretty cool. Interesting situation. I would have never put that together. I don't think they would do that. It would increase
I don't think so.
Interest in the 3-on-3.
I mean, Ice Cube is like, trying to call out like, the 3-on-3 who won the gold medal. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but then like someone did bring up the idea of like, well, if LeBron retires within the next couple of years, he could come back to the Olympics and do the 3-on-3. Doesn't have to run as much.
I would hope he would have to stay in game shape.
Oh, of course. But it'd be a different kind of game. It'd be a different kind of game, though.
Yeah, but a lot of times when people retire, they're like, all right, I ain't going to practice. I ain't working out. I'm going to spend some time and let this body get healthy or whatever and just take the time.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see LeBron. I don't want to see LeBron in the 3-on-3.
Oh,
I'll say I don't want to see
do.
him.
What about Steph
him.
though? I think Steph would actually be the most fun of those guys. Well, KD would also be fun to watch on a 3-on-3.
Steph and KD would be fun, but I don't want to see LeBron. I think LeBron goes out on a high note of winning this championship. Winning this Olympic gold. Come back, play with his son for a couple years, have the interest and the energy around that. Third year, do his retirement tour, and bow out of the game
gonna happen.
Gracefully, kind of like a very Kobe-esque moment. That final game at the Staples Center. The crypto.
No. You said it right the first time.
That final game at the Staples Center, and be done with it, and go out and do his Hollywood thing, do his investment thing, and continue to inspire generations to come from off the court.
Right. Well, it's nice to dream. The other thing that I did want to talk about for the Olympics was like, as cool as that was, it also made me worried for 2028. I was like, who are we going to bring to 2028? I mean, we got Anthony Edwards. That's fine and all. But, like, I saw Wemby play, and he really cared. He really cared in that final. Like, he really, put it all out there. And he was mad that they lost. And Joker's still going to get, he's still going to be in his prime in 2028. And other teams are going to be coming up. Other countries are going to be coming up, like, in 2028. So, my worry was like, oh, man, is this the end? Of like, well, I mean, it wasn't like they were dominant, but like, is this the end of like Team USA being like the favorites at least, like, because you're kind of hoping like, here's my hope is like in 2028, Ja Morant is good and Zion. I think Zion is going to be very critical because when he's healthy, when he's on, he is definitely one of the best players in the world. It's just a matter of like whether his head is going to be in the right place and whether he's going to be healthy, in 4 years. So that's my worry because I don't know how the next couple of years of like draft picks are going to go. Like, people talk about Cooper Flag and all that stuff, but I have no idea how that's going to pan out. But I'm talking about like the players now. Is Jason Tatum going to be in a good spot, especially since he got benched all those times, Jaylen Brown is definitely going to want a spot. I mean, he was upset that he did not make the team. Deservedly so. Like, I really, they were right. Like, he should have taken Kawhi's place. And so that's my worries. Like in 2028 is like it's going to be very interesting, and it's also going to be very tough for Team USA moving forward. Just because
I think it will. I think it's going to be challenging. I think it's going to be challenging for Team USA, not because of who we have on the team, but because the level of talent that is growing up in the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
Probably we saw what Joker and Wemby and what these other countries in the world are doing. I mean,
shout out South Sudan, man. South Sudan gave USA
South Sudan.
Problems.
Like those teams are doing things that we didn't expect them to do. They're scoring in ways we didn't expect them to score, running plays and gelling together in ways that we just didn't expect from the rest of the world. They're playing the American game and taking it to a new level and bringing it to us with the European twist on it. And the American game, you have to adjust to that. And I think the guys are going to have to adjust to that. And I think having Anthony Edwards and Tatum and Book see that firsthand, the intensity, they'll be able to bring that energy to the game for 2028. I think AE is going to be the Kobe, LeBron figure in the 2028 games. He's going to talk that trash. He's going to get the guys fired up. He's going to get them involved in the game, and that's going to be a huge game difference maker in the game. Hopefully Zion's there. I would love to have him be able to battle against Joker and have him to battle against Wemby. Like if he can give Wemby that body, like Wemby's great. He's tall. He's an amazing player, very skilled, but he just can't defend Zion's body. Like Zion's a big dude. If he can battle with guys like Wemby and Joker and give them that muscle that we need, it'll change everything.
Absolutely. I agree, man. So, I mean, you did mention, Anthony Edwards might take that Kobe spot, so I might as well use that as a transition into our next topic. And we talked about it on the show. The return of the Nike Kobe 9 Elite, both the high and low. So, the Halo colorway is set to drop basically tomorrow. And then the low is set to drop in September. And we had a discussion before the show, and you mentioned something that I thought was rather interesting. You were like, should it come back? So I wanted you to
Yeah.
kind of like elaborate on that, because that was a take that I didn't necessarily expect from you. So
Yeah, I'm not sure that I want the elite, at least more specifically the high, to come back.
Okay.
It was pretty hyped back then, but the sneaker world has changed so much in that time frame that I don't see people being energized and hungry for a pair of the elite high. Now the elite low, that's a different story.
Sure.
I also think the colorway choice is not what people are looking for right now.
Do you mean the
this
Halo?
The all white colorway?
Right.
I don't see that as something that's going to pull in the community that buys Kobe's. I think the Kobe story, I just don't see people buying that white colorway. I feel like it's more of a reminder of his passing as opposed to a reminder of his life, which I think people want to celebrate more than they want to do his passing.
I see.
Yeah, I thought the Halo concept was just going to be a one-off, and in that regard,
Oh, you mean like last year with the Halo 8? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was great. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, get it, perfect. Sounds, great perspective, right on time, storytelling exactly what we need. But I just didn't expect that storyline to continue.
Mm-hmm. And also from like a practical. Oh yeah. Oh, go ahead. You were going.
No, I was just going to say, and I feel like I don't know where that storyline originates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for me, it's more of like with the Halo. It's also, I mean, yes, that's also an interesting take on like that. But also for me, it's like the practicality of it. It's an all white Flyknit shoe. And that thing is going to get dirty real quick. And I know there's going to be like people who are Kobe fans who are just going to keep it as like a collectible, as a remembrance or something like that. But I also feel like it's going to be interesting to see how like people do react to the Elite High. Just because, like you said, the sneaker world is in a different place now. And like, we have like the big red boots and all that stuff. But, maybe people aren't going to be like rocking those kinds of shoes all the time. The Elite 9 lows is now that's a different story. I love those. Yeah. I remember when those came out and I was like, man, that's what I was looking for. The Elite 9 high, it felt like it was great. But also felt kind of gimmicky, and also this is what I wanted to do was like, tell stories about like, because we were like in the big sneaker media back in the days, like, we were all deep in it, and we were there for like the launch of the Kobe 9. And I remember talking, and this is where I get to like shamelessly plug, like, shamelessly like talk about like, oh, no, I talked to Kobe. But, but once upon a time, I got a chance to like, talk to Kobe about the 9 high. And I asked him basically straight up, I was like, not necessarily that it was a gimmick or something like that, but is this kind of like a business thing? Because, prior to this, we never had like Kobe highs and Kobe lows. We just had the lows, especially starting with the 4.
Right.
So I basically just asked Kobe, was like, is this like a business decision? Because, this kind of opens you up to like 2 different SKUs, like a high and a low. And he was just like, no, this was, all about like he was inspired by Manny Pacquiao's boxing boots. And he wanted to do something different, and he wanted to do that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, you kind of play, like, yeah, sure, okay, all right. And then, like, later on, you see the low, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you see the engineered mesh, and you're like, oh, okay, all right.
Well played, Kobe. Well played.
Yeah, well played, Kobe. Man, rest in peace, Mom. I'll miss you. But, yeah, I mean, like, I do love the Elite High. I do still have, I think, like 2 or 3 pairs around here in the house. Yeah, so, same. But I haven't worn, like, I think the last time I wore was like for Christmas, like a couple of years ago, just for kicks. But but the thing I do remember that I still have is the and we mentioned this on the show, is the Nike ID pair. I have one of those Nike ID pairs, and I love those, and the multicolor ones. And if there's one thing that Nike should absolutely positively do, is put these on Nike by You. Do right by the community, do right by the fans. Exactly. And John Donahoe, get on your stuff and like put these on Nike by You. Like, we need these. We need the Kobe 9s on Nike by You, just like you had it on Nike ID back in the days.
Yeah, and I'd rather he put the lows there than do the highs. I think the highs are such a specialty sneaker that you don't. There's not.
I think we're going to see more lows than highs, like moving forward, like for pro shows and stuff. I think we're going to see more lows than highs, but yeah.
Yeah, there's not really a place for the highs. I don't think, not in today's world. And I don't think the nostalgia of the Kobe, the 9 high is hitting hard enough for people to be like, oh, I want more 9s. I don't think that cycle has come around yet, but the lows definitely. Yet. I think the lows, people definitely are going to look for the lows and be checking for the lows.
Absolutely. And so, like, where do you think, like, the Kobe 9, though, ranks in, like, the grand hierarchy of Kobe's? Is it, like, a top 5, top 10? Like, and we're talking about, like, everything, like Adidas, Nike, and all that stuff. Because of, like, for me, it was, like, the novelty of, like, the high, like, makes me put it, like around 6 or 7. But, like, you know, obviously there's, like, a lot of things that I do prefer above that. But, like, for me, the Kobe 9, just because of, like, the novelty of the high and the audacity of it, you know, just because of, like, the era that was in, like, you know, everybody was like, you know, low cut basketball shoes, and Kobe was like, no, we going high this time.
We're going high. Yeah,
we're going high. But we're never going low. We're never going low. Yeah, okay, sure, Kobe.
I think that's a great place to put it. Like that 6, 7 in the top 10. It's definitely not. I don't know if it makes the top 5. No, it doesn't make the top 5. But it definitely like has such an audacity to it. It has a specialty to it. It has a thing that only that shoe has. When you think of the Kobe line, there's nothing like it. So it has that unique factor that gives it that keeps it, I think, in the top 10. But it doesn't push it to a place where I think it would make the top 5.
Right. And do you think, like, we're actually gonna, like, actually just keep moving forward, though? Like, do you think we're actually gonna move on to, like, the Kobe 10s next year and, like, the 11s? Because I think, and even that, like, the ADs, like, I mean, I don't know if, like, that's something that people are really searching for. I think, or do we actually hit, or do you think, like, the 9 is, like, the limit? Like, do you think we start going backwards, actually? Like, I think I saw, like, a story earlier where, like, Isaiah Thomas said that he saw, like, a Kobe 3 low. And I was like, oh, I've never even thought about Kobe 3s in any way, shape, or form for, like, the past, like, several years. And to release it in a low is kind of interesting. So, like, maybe that's the move, you know?
Yeah, it's more like that Jordan brand. Take that Jordan brand sort of strategy to the Kobe line and mix it up with some of the stuff, and then, you know, change some of the silhouettes a little bit. You know, as long as they don't do a Kobe fusion, I think I'm fine.
Oh my God. Oh no.
I think I'm fine with them experimenting.
No. I think the lifestyle shoes from, like, back in the days was enough. Those Nike sportswears, like, those
they could bring those back. I didn't mind some of them.
Some of them were great, some of them were not so much, let's be honest. Some of them were kind of
some didn't work.
Yeah, it was very hit or miss with those, but I think that's about the extent of those. Let's not do fusions. For the love of all that is good and decent, John Donahoe, do not make Kobe fusions, because, man, that is that's just terrible. Terrible, Kenny. Terrible.
Kobe fusions. That's
that makes my heart hurt. Well, speaking of Jordan Brand, another great transition, Jacques. We talked about, like, the Luka 3 is actually, like, a car inspired by the Luka 3. The 1969 Chevy Camaro is going to be showing up in Forza Horizon in Forza Motorsport. And I was like, that is a unique collaboration, just something I didn't expect. Like, I thought maybe, like, you know, because I think the Luka 3 is supposed to be inspired by, like, his love of cars. So maybe I thought we would see, like, a NASCAR or something like that. Or maybe that might still happen. You never know, right? Because Jordan.
Yeah, you never know.
That.
I mean, they've done raps. They've done raps for. Have they done raps for Luka?
You know what? I don't know. But they've definitely done raps for, like, other Jordan-inspired, like, sneakers.
Yeah, other Jordan sneakers.
Luka.
I feel like they...
But not Luka yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I think the season's still going, so maybe we could see, like, Luka on the track at some point. So you never know. But I just wanted to talk about, like, Jordan Brand just really, like, expanding, you know? Like, just going beyond, like, the typical sports that we expect, right? I mean, we know he's in baseball. We know he's in American football, soccer, golf. And, you know, obviously he has, like, his huge connection to NASCAR because he does own a team. But we're also seeing it, like, in the WWE. Like, you've got Roman Reigns wearing Jordans all the time now, and not just, like, you know, the GRs like he used to. The Tribal Chief, the OTC, wearing, you know, just the good stuff. Like the Jumpman Jacks, like, and the Trophy Room 1 lows. I think he wore to SummerSlam, and I was like, it's good, though, because it's, like, it's actually an established, like, deal. Because, you know, he had those shoes during WrestleMania. He had those special boots made during WrestleMania. So And there's like a rumor there's supposed to be like bloodline sneakers coming out next year, and I think that's awesome just because of like the expansion of like Jordan Brand's doing. They're really trying to like just get into like different spaces now, and it's not just like sports. It's like WWE is sports entertainment. It is what it is. But they're really going out there and like reaching out to like other figures, celebrities, athletes, and all that stuff. And I think it just bodes well for like the future of Jordan Brand. Just because everybody has like their lulls, and people are like getting on Jordan Brand for like being on a lull with like their the release of their retros, the recent spate of retros, and all that stuff. But I think like in terms of like being out there and being visible, like I think they're really doing a great job with like expanding like their base. And we did make the joke in like the show that we need to see Michael Jordan in F1, like start a team, like hook up with Mario Andretti, like get it, like. And the thing, and I started reading about it, was like apparently Mario Andretti is trying to get into F1, but F1 won't let him because they don't think his team is going to be competitive. And I was like, yeah, let's see what happens if Michael Jordan calls. Michael Jordan calls F1, and they're like, hey, I would like to join F1. Do you think F1's going to be like, nah, Michael Jordan, you're not going to be competitive at all. They're going to be like rolling out the red carpet. They'll be like, come on in, Mike. Oh, Andretti can come in too. Yeah,
I think they would. I think they'd open up the door if Andretti had Michael by his side.
No, yeah.
I don't think Michael could do it by himself.
Sure.
But I think the combination of those two would make for like the kind of synergy that F1 needs, and it would be insane. A Jordan F1 car would just the thought of it looks sick to me. I mean,
it's like no offense to like fans of like NASCAR or like super bikes and all that stuff, which is like stuff that Jordan's dabbled in, but F1's the crown jewel. It's the crown jewel of motorsport, and to see like the Jumpman on there would be absolutely crazy. And of course, we also made the joke of like
good move.
That would be absolutely a good move. And to see like MJ, if like his team were to ever win, and to see him up on that podium with a cigar in hand and like that champagne. To do it like that, that would be... And we were just so happy when he was there for the NASCAR race. He was so happy. He was just so, like, hugging everybody, like, talking to the kids and all that stuff. And I'm like, we don't get to see Mike like that. We don't get to see MJ ever in that kind of mode. So I'm like, that's why I thought it'd be pretty cool if, like, he did join F1 and he got to, like, celebrate like that again. Just because we haven't seen it since he won championships, So
we'd have to think about the role that he plays, though, because we know MJ can, when it comes to NBA teams, MJ didn't necessarily make the most compelling argument. But getting him in F1 in the right role.
But it seems like he really cares, though. That's the other thing. Is like he really cares about his stuff, like his motorsports. Like you see him when he's really hyped and stuff, and I'm like. You saw him on the court, like, he was obviously, like, getting mad, like, courtside, like, getting mad at players and, like, kind of telling them what to do and all that stuff. But, like, in F1, I feel like he's, like, a fan. Like, you feel like he's, like, a fan, but also, like, someone who's, like, really actually interested in it and, like, enthusiastic about it and, like, will actually put a lot of, like, effort into it and, like, hire the right people. Maybe not so much in basketball, just because he's so... maybe he was just so involved and so like in his head about it.
Close,
maybe with this one,
too close to it. Maybe he was too close to it.
Yeah. With F1, I think he might be more like careful about like who people he brings in. Of course, he would also, and like we said, like if he teamed up with Andretti would obviously know his stuff as well. So
they could balance each other out, which would be pretty sick.
So we need to see that. We need to see FJ in F1. I think that would be amazing. Just because
F1 MJ would be.
See him at like Monaco hanging with all the celebs and stuff. I think that would be pretty
I think
cool.
The fans would
go
crazy for that.
Well, moving on, Jacques, to the hard pass, where we take a look at something to the culture that just needs to go. I feel like I was triggered with that segment. You really picked on me with that one.
Let's not say picked on you.
You know what you did.
I brought to light some of the pain points that you have with the museum. I think that's a better way to say it. I don't think I triggered you. really brought to light some of the challenges and some of the things that you face in access to the museum. I think that's a pretty legit argument. That's not triggering. Why would that be triggering?
Oh man, I can't believe you. But anyways, so for people who haven't watched the show, but you should watch the show anyway. It's a great show.
If you haven't watched the show already,
go watch that. So we talked about the Nintendo Museum. It's been a long-awaited thing. They've been talking about it for a couple of years now, and they finally revealed the museum is going to be in Kyoto, Japan. And the earliest that I told you that I was going to be able to go to Japan is like sometime next year. And I'm like, oh, why do this to me, Nintendo? Why would you do this? But also, I mean, it might be a blessing.
Yeah, they were like, let's make Juan angry. That's
as somebody who once dealt with Nintendo, trying to like, you know, as somebody who did the video game journalist for a couple of years, yeah, I know how Nintendo works sometimes. They are very selective about the people they give access to certain things. So I'll just leave it at that.
Which they should be.
I don't know about that. They might be a little too selective. They might be a little too selective sometimes. It was hard to review things every once in a while. But anyways, that's long in the past. So the museum is opening up later this year. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because, like, you know, maybe everybody's going to try to get in, you know, right now when it's newly open in the beginning. And, you know, by the time I get there next year, maybe like the hype will have died down a little bit. I doubt it. But it's just going to be wild because, like, when I went to the website to go check out how to get tickets, it's a lottery system. So there's like that logical problem of like, when do I book tickets? Can I book it too early? You know, like, how is this going to work? Because if I go to Japan, I'm going to want to go. And if I don't get to go, I think I might be really sad.
Might have to plan your trip around the time you get tickets.
Yeah. And like, and that's the problem is like, I can't book way in advance, you know? Because I think right now they're only booking, because it's opening in October. And right now you can only book 2 months in advance. So that's
not bad.
Yeah, but so that's the only issue is like just logistically like how that's going to work. But yeah, no, I on the other side, on the positive side, it is cool that Nintendo is finally like opening up because they're such a notoriously secretive company. Just like, you know, they just don't really show a lot of like, it's not that they don't care about their history, but it's definitely like a situation where the fans care more about the history of Nintendo. So it feels like the fans care more about the history of Nintendo more than Nintendo does sometimes.
Is it history or is it the wild things that the fans care about? Not wild.
A little bit of both. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, honestly. But yeah, but like Nintendo actually doing this and like showing, you know, pulling the curtain a little bit, I think is very cool. And, you know, you're going to get to see stuff that you haven't seen before. I think there's going to be stuff like prototypes and like concepts that never saw the light of day. I think we're going to see some of those. But there's also going to be stuff that they're just never going to let us see. And, you know, it's stuff that's floating out there on the internet that I mentioned, wrote, you know, in the top 10 things that I want to see, like the Nintendo PlayStation. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but there was a collaboration that was supposed to happen back in like, I think it was like the late 80s or early 90s where Sony and Nintendo were supposed to put together, the Super Nintendo was supposed to have like a CD drive. Mm-hmm. So, and it was going to be called basically the PlayStation. And because of reasons, whether Nintendo didn't feel they were going to get like a proper share of like the royalties from like the sales of the CDs and stuff, they kind of broke off with that agreement and they ended up working with Philips. And that's a whole nother thing that's for a different time. But so we could have been living in a world where there's a thing called the Nintendo PlayStation. And to me, that is a very wild thing to think about when you think about the history of video games. And there's only ever been one prototype that has ever been like revealed to the world, because there was like allegedly 200 prototypes made, but only one has ever been put out there. And that one that's out there does play Super Nintendo games, like the cartridges, they work, but the CD doesn't work, the CD-ROM doesn't work, the CD drive doesn't work. So I think it would be awesome if the museum showed off the Nintendo PlayStation with a working CD, because they had to have been working at some point. So that's why, like, for me, I would be
maybe that's why it never came to be, because it wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't working, right. But I really hope that there is something of that kind of monumental, like something that amazing, you know, can be shown at that museum. So Yeah,
like
no,
video game lore. You want some of that stuff to be included in the museum, which makes sense,
and,
especially from like fans of Nintendo, not just like fans of video games. If you're like a deep-rooted fan of Nintendo, it makes sense to have some of those idiosyncrasies within the museum. One, for those fans to kind of feel like, see, I knew this thing existed, or I knew I saw this on the internet, for like that kind of reaction, which I think is great. I think that's great. I think it keeps the audience engaged and gives people a reason to see the museum, because they can basically just order all the other stuff on their own. So what's going to be at the museum that's special that they just can't see by going on eBay or own YouTube videos?
Right, exactly. And I think I am just going to be so happy when I get to go there, and I'm just going to go broke from all the merch.
If you can get a ticket.
How dare you? How dare you? Why you got to put that out there?
Why
can't you be positive?
I just want to set realistic expectations.
Why can't you be positive, Jacques? Like, you got to be like, Juan, you are going to get tickets. It's going to happen for you. I'm going to be so happy for you.
Good vibes, good energy. You're going to get tickets. You're going to get tickets. Giving you good energy. My fault. I was trying to level set.
And when it happens sometime next year, I'm going to FaceTime you and be like, it finally happened.
I know. And now I can't wait. I can't wait, because it's going
to be like in the middle of the night for you. It's going to be like daytime in Japan, and it's going to be like the middle of the night for you. And I'm going to do it on purpose too. I'm going to time it. So I'm like, all right, what time can I get into the museum? It's going to be like 3 a.m. in the morning for Jacques, and I'm going to call him and be like, I'm here.
I love it. I expect nothing less.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, anyway, Jacques, so this was a productive first episode of Too Hard to Pass.
Good show.
Good show. But before we go, we talked about this prior, and I think it'd be very interesting if we put it out there for the audience to talk about. We could talk about like our Mount Rushmore Plus.
Mount Rushmore.
Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus. So before we go, we want to give like a treat to the audience and maybe give them something to talk about. Okay. And like a lot of podcasts, a lot of stuff, they do their Mount Rushmores and all that stuff. What's your Mount Rushmore of like whatever NBA players or, that kind of stuff. And, and obviously there's a lot of like sneaker Mount Rushmores out there too.
Yep.
But I thought we'd kind of do ours with a little bit of a twist, and that's why there's that plus at the end.
Okay.
So I thought it'd be neat if we did like a Mount Rushmore, which is basically 4 sneakers, but instead of like just 4, whatever you can name, the first 4 you can name of, or the 4 best you can think of, I thought it'd be interesting if we did like 1 OG colorway, 1 non-OG colorway, 1 collab, 1 player exclusive, and a wild card, hence the plus. So there's actually 5.
Okay.
So Mount
OG
Rushmore
colorway.
Yeah.
Any sneaker? OG colorway of any sneaker?
Well, I thought we'd do like a theme. Like, for example, since this is the first episode of the Too Hard to Pass podcast, we should start with the shoe that started it all, I guess, the Air Jordan 1.
Okay.
I think,
all right.
Yeah, so let's kind of go, like I said, OG, non-OG, collab, PE, and a wild card, which is whatever we come up with at the end.
Okay.
So let's do that for Air Jordan 1. And, we can have doubles just because, it's not like we planned this or anything like that. Like, I'm just bringing this on you right now. Okay. Air Jordan 1 OGs. So, like, what's your OG colorway of an Air Jordan 1?
I guess Chicago colorway.
Chicago colorway?
OG. Oh, for OG, yeah.
Okay. I'll go with the bread ones. Non-OG colorway.
Okay, non-OG colorway. Shattered backboards.
Shattered backboards is very cool. Very cool. I will go with let's see, the Spider-Verse. Would that be a collab though? Is that a collab, or would we consider that
a collab?
That would be a collab, right?
Yeah.
I did have an idea for like a collab. So I guess that'll be my wild card. Let's just save the Spider-Verse one and not the first one, the second one, the Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes, let's make that clear. That's very sensitive about that.
Yeah, very, very sensitive about that.
Okay, so then what was after collab? After non-OG? Is it collab?
My non-OG would be let's see, the actually, I'm gonna kind of go with yours, like piggyback off yours with the shattered backboards. I would go with like the pine green, which is similar style to the shattered backboard, like but like kind of like a similar cover blocking, but like the pine green. You also like
ones. The Celtics, I get it. Okay,
I'm just doing that to mess with you.
Yeah.
So for your
Let me
collab,
see. So collab, you have to go with.
okay, so that one's a little,
Gosh, I'm gonna go with. So many good options here.
yeah, that one's a little bit tougher just because there's so many to choose
I'm
from,
gonna go
especially
with
the Jordan 1.
the blue unions.
The Blue Unions.
Yeah.
Man, I was thinking about that one. Man.
Yeah.
I could go with the other unions, but I think I'll go with the Off-Whites. Off-White Jordan 1. Off-White Chicago Jordan 1.
Makes sense.
Yeah. For PE, player exclusive.
Are there really a Jordan PEs? Are there any PEs? Jordan PEs?
Yeah. So I'll go with mine. I'll go with the North Carolina. They look like a North Carolina player Jordan 1s.
Oh,
colleges,
okay.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
North Carolina.
I have a pair of the Hornets made a special Jordan 1 that's all white that I have.
Okay.
So I'll go
See,
with that one.
that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. Definitely. Like, that'll have people looking for what he meant, what Jacques meant by that. So cool. And then for my wild card, I already mentioned it. It's going to be the Across the Spider-Verse,
and I think
Into the Spider-Verse.
My wild card is going to be the LA to Chicago.
LA to Chicago. Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. I have those. I already rubbed off the LA, so this is Chicago.
I haven't rubbed mine. I started with some acetone on one of them, just a little bit, just to see what it looked like.
Right.
But I haven't worn them in a long time. I got to find those. I got to find those and pull them out.
Must be nice to be the type of sneakerhead who's like, oh, I have like these really cool Jordans here somewhere. I am trying to like place them. Maybe it's in storage somewhere in my like climate controlled storage unit.
That's funny. I got to put I got some golf spikes on them, and then I think.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Then they'll wear down a little faster because.
You're gonna be beating him up on the golf course for sure.
Yeah, get him beat up. That's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Great idea. Great idea.
All right, so people in the comments can talk about like which one is the better Mount Rushmore plus, and I
like that.
People can decide that. So we'll kind of put that also on the socials and kind of get people talking about that and kind of go from there. And hey, if you have your own sneaker Mount Rushmore plus, talk about it. Let us know what it is.
Let us know. We want to know. Let us know down in the comments below, and you can tell Juan why his picks were wrong as well.
What I was, I'm the type of person who likes to go like I'm the one who's right, but you had to beat me to it. So man, I am.
I just want the audience to know. I want the audience to feel free that they can give us.
I was trying to
feedback.
I was trying to be polite. I was trying to be nice.
No, it's great. No, that'd be right. Yeah, I just want the audience to know that they can give us constructive feedback and that your picks were wrong. I just want them to know that they can.
Wow.
They ought to be comfortable being able to be like, the host was wrong. So I want them to know. Yeah.
Oh man, buddy, this is gonna be fun. But anyways, thank you for watching or listening,
watching
to the Too Hard to Pass podcast. It's the Hard Pass after show. Thank you again for watching. I am Juan Martinez,
and I am Jacques Slade.
You can find me on the internet at Easyville, even though I never post on the socials anymore. I guess I'm going to start doing that if we're going to put clips up on stuff.
Yeah, and I am Cousteau, Kustoo, on all of the places. Snap, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Might even be on my Reddit. I don't know what my Reddit name is.
You have a Reddit?
Probably, yeah.
Jacques Slade has a Reddit.
Yeah, I'm a thug in these streets, Juan.
Wow, like a personal Reddit, like people like just talk about like just that's what they do is like talk about Jacques Slade stuff on the Reddit.
No, I don't have my own Reddit like.
Oh, okay. I thought
I have a Reddit
thought like your fans made you a Reddit, and I was like, wow.
People don't like
wow.
me much to have a Reddit.
I will tell you though, there is the funniest Reddit story that I have is like years ago when I was still writing on Kicks on Fire. I remember there was like a sneaker Reddit, and they talked about like how I was ruining Kicks on Fire. Like the headline, like the thing that said, Juan Martinez is ruining Kicks on Fire because he's so petty with the fans on Twitter. And I'm like,
oh, wow. I never got that kind of interaction. So you're doing better than me.
And that's and that's gonna be story time for different episodes. We'll talk about like the old days and all that stuff. And we were like deep in the blog world. And those were definitely interesting times. Those were definitely like
very interesting.
It's led us to the life that we are, where we are, and it's led us to this. to this podcast, to this show, HardPass. And and maybe I'll tell the story about how I met Jacques Slade. It was like I saw his aura when I saw him for the first time.
All right.
And I was
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We're going to stop him while we're ahead of it. We appreciate you. Make sure you like, favorite, and subscribe. The show will be on all of the podcast places. And we'll talk to you guys. It was a real aura, people.
It was real. It was so real. Peace. Oh my gosh. I wanted to get a selfie.
Cut this off now before you keep